All right, that's that sound. That's that sound. We're in the championship rounds with King Amin of Essex 1. We talk about boxing, news, and everything in between. Of course, it's moderated by Jay. We're in season 3, round 1. How you doing, my brother?
Pretty good, man. This is definitely an exciting start to this season. Always changing up, looking to build, looking to grow. So, we're adding a different element to season 3. So I'm gonna let you go ahead and continue to moderate the Ray, champ.
All right, so definitely, like as you said, as we talked about, we're adding a different element. We're gonna be trying to bring on, new opinions, people who have different experiences, who've been around the sport and contribute in different ways. So again, we want to welcome to the championship rounds, Philadelphia Boxing Writer of the Year, 2012 and 2019, the real HU, Howard University Law School graduate, Harvard Business School graduate, known as the Pope of Pugilism on IG, Mr. George Hanson Jr. Welcome to the championship rounds, my brother.
Well, thank you for having me, gentlemen. It's a pleasure.
We appreciate you here. Definitely just want to give you a second to kind of promote yourself, where people can find you, and just tell us a little bit about, your background and just, how'd you get into, your interest in the sport? How did it develop?
Well, I'm from Jamaica. God knew I wanted to box, so I landed in Philadelphia when I was 12 years old, been in a boxing gym ever since, fought all the way through the amateurs, had 102 amateur fights, and, decided to head off to Harvard Business School after graduating from Drexel University. And I graduated, came back to Philadelphia to help my coach out, Charles Ramey, training fighters and working with fighters, man. And to this day, I'm still doing it. I train boxers at the Marion Anderson Recreation Center in South Philadelphia. I have a few good fighters that are in the Pennsylvania Golden Glove, the Conte, the Black Panther Chia from Ghana. Everybody has seen him. He has vibranium in his gloves, and Musa the Hitman Toure from Mali, the pair that I get all the African fighters. So I'm in the gym every day. I consider myself the most blessed person to be in the greatest fighting city God ever created, Philadelphia, and to be in the gym every single day, man. It doesn't get any better than this.
All right, well, listen, welcome to the championship rounds. We definitely appreciate you, coming on to share your expert opinion. I know I'm gonna probably learn a lot, and I know that the people are gonna look forward to hearing you and King Amin's opinion on these topics.
Salute.
Anything you, promote yourself before we get into the article?
Oh, listen, man, everybody knows where to find me. At least you should know by now. King Amin of Essex 1 on Instagram. Also, I'm on Twitter. Twitter is a different element. You got to stand on your word, and my word is my bond. So stand next to me, King Amin of Essex 1. Also, you also don't forget to check me out on the Boxing Voice TBV podcast, doing my co-hosting duties and corresponding duties. So I'm a little bit of everywhere, but please definitely continue to support and check me out. I appreciate all the patronage, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, so we're gonna, without further ado, we're gonna jump right into it. I know the people want to hear you and George, opinion. So we're gonna kind of talk about we got a good mix today. We're gonna talk about some articles, what's in the news, and then kind of get into some upcoming fights. So the first article is coming from Boxing Scene. Hearn expects to part ways with Andrade after May 21st Parker bout. Quote in the title line, "We tried everything." So again, Eddie Hearn, the head of Matchroom Boxing, signed DeAndre originally in 2018. Just kind of giving an interview, kind of giving his opinion on, Andre moving forward, kind of a different direction from Dazin, I believe, after this next upcoming fight. Hearn's opinion, of course, he acknowledged during the interview the inability to kind of deliver a big fight, and that might have contributed, but also kind of threw a little shade, saying that, Andre kind of failed to do his part in terms of drawing in new subscribers. So let's start with our guest of honor, George. I don't know if you want to start with King Amin, but what did you guys think of this article? Did you think this was, relevant? Do you think Hearn's just trying to kind of distract from losing a fighter, and what did you think? We'll start off with that.
Just reading the article, it raises more questions than it provides answers, right? You signed one of the most talented fighters in the division. In 2018, Andrade is extremely talented. I've been following him for a long time. He's undefeated. Then you say he didn't get the subscription base up for the zone, which I really don't believe that's his responsibility. So it's tantamount to say, I have sugar, water, and some Kool-Aid, but I can't make juice. I mean, you get my point. So it raises some questions, and it's just hard because you look at it. The promoter job is to promote a fighter, right, and also work with that management team that's managing the fighter to make sure you promote that fighter that so he or she is marketable, right? Give you this. Demetrius Andrade could walk downtown Philadelphia, right? And nobody would recognize him. Whose fault is that? That even folks in my gym, and they are boxers, young boxers and trainers, right, they don't know who he is. So whose fault is that? Is it partially the promoter? Absolutely. Is it part the team? Because a lot of fighters don't realize their management team is their job to work with the promoter to market that fighter and make that fighter very marketable. So, but it raises question when Eddie Hearn says he didn't raise the zone subscription level. That's your responsibility. So I really don't understand it. You get an undefeated fighter with that much talent, and 3 years later, going on 4 years, most of America, I believe, don't know him. Whose fault is that?
That's interesting. King Amin, what's your opinion? I got a question for both of you afterwards, but what's your opinion, King Amin?
The first thing I thought of, it sounded a little bit of Bob Aramish. You know, and I usually rock with Eddie Hearn, but it sounded Bob. Well, I tried everything, but he also didn't. I mean, because it's a fake sense of accountability. Now, one thing I can say, Eddie has come out there and do what all promoters do, and he tried to throw a name on the table. I offered to fight this one. They turned it down. But at some point, like this has been going on for how many fights? It was like, I can't even, and I'm a fan, but and as thorough as I can be, I can't name the last 3-4 guys he fought. Okay. Either because their names are too difficult to pronounce, which necessarily doesn't speak to the quality of opposition, but it speaks to you're putting your own fighter in obscurity if you can't match him with a name that somebody can remember.
Right.
So it's a sob story to me.
I got a general question. So, that's obviously to a certain degree, it's kind of like it's a relationship that depends on each other, a promoter and a boxer, right? It's a tender relationship. So who is more responsible, right? Especially when we look at like the age of social media, right? Who's more responsible for making a boxer popular, right? Especially when we talk about where's the balance, right? Because we've had this conversation before when it came and pull me back if I'm going too far, but we've had some sort of this conversation in regards to Terrence Crawford, right? And some of the pay-per-view numbers, right? And then I'm not comparing these guys in terms of skill, but we obviously see what the benefit can be with a guy like Jake Paul and Logan Paul and your presence on social media, right? So is it a valid point in this day and age, right? Because and we'll get to the Serrano fight and all of that later, right? But Jake Paul is not giving quotes in those articles if he's not relevant in the boxing world because of social media. So I just want to know, in your opinion, so is it the team's responsibility to blow you up on social media? Is it your responsibility as a boxer to find a balance and promote yourself, or what? Because there is a role, right? Because it translates into dollars.
I think, and George will tell you straight away, at the most amateur, when you turn pro, you need a lot of support. And you know from Isaiah, right? From Isaiah Wise, right, Jay?
Right.
You gotta come to the table as a fighter.
Big win yesterday. Big win yesterday. You know what I'm saying? So we'll talk about that too.
But this is what I'm saying. You gotta come to the table with support and be able to say, look, I got at least 8 people. So if it's not you, the fighter, you do gotta have a team around you that can say, yo, my guy's gonna be there. My guy needs a table here. My guy's got 8 people coming. So you do need to have something around you. But to me, it's like, it's so many things in this world that sell itself, and maybe I'm jaded because I'm a boxing fan, but I feel like when you have a fighter with that level of skill, eventually somehow the marketing should be in, you know, because you market it to boxing fans. It ain't like you trying to sell this to women. You just say, hey, look at this talent fighter. You taking him to other boxing fans and say, hey, you ever heard of this guy from Providence, Rhode Island? It ain't like you saying, yo, we trying to get him a record deal. You trying to present him as a talented fighter. I don't know why promoters would have an issue doing that.
Yeah.
Can I jump in here?
Of course.
It's the way I've always approached anything in life, whether it's school, career, or anything else. The ultimate responsibility is mine, right? So for a fighter, people can help you since it's going to impact your revenue, your livelihood, right? The ultimate responsibility, right? Because the promoter can always have fighters, right? A fighter only has a limited career. So it's really up to the fighter and his team to make sure that that fighter has the right team, the right marketing team that's promoting that fighter, and also working with the promoter to make sure that fighter is marketable, whether it's social media or whatever. But what happens with boxing, most people rely on the promoter to market the fighter. Promoters promote fights.
Right.
It's the team. And a lot of boxers, I'm speaking for all the fighters I know, right? They don't have somebody on that team who understands marketing to really get that fighter out there, right? Make sure they're getting interviews, make sure they're visiting high school, make sure they're getting endorsements besides these patch deals outside. So they don't have that infrastructure, right? And a lot of fighters don't even have a wealth manager when they start making money. So ultimately, it's re-educating. Some do, don't get me wrong, some do, but nobody, I find a great percentage of them. Most fighters, well, they'll get their cousin or somebody to be their manager, or anybody who puts on a suit and say they understand boxing, right? We're clearly deficient in boxing with professionals who understand the business of boxing, the marketing of fighters, to work with the promoter. So was it Eddie Hearn's responsibility? Yeah, but Eddie Hearn has several other fighters, right? So if he doesn't make it here, makes it with another. So it's up to, I don't know Demetrius, Andrade, I don't know how his team is comprised, but he should have had somebody, if he doesn't, who understand the business of marketing, right? And how to make him more marketable, that he's a brand who's getting endorsement, that people know, and that when Eddie Hearn puts on a fight, people say, I want to watch that guy. So ultimate responsibility with the fight in their teams. And I will tell you, based on my experience here in Philadelphia and seeing fighters, they don't have those professionals. Most of them don't even have a lawyer or a CPA or a marketing guy, a team that says, listen, this is the product, this is the brand, we're going to work with the promoter to maximize this person's revenue inside the ring and outside the ring. They don't have that, I'm telling you. So Eddie raises some issues, but I can't speak for Andrade's team. What I can say this, if you walk downtown Philadelphia, the greatest boxing city in the entire universe, I doubt if anybody would know him.
You got to be a hardcore. He had to be walking past a boxing gym.
And then they might not even know him.
Yeah.
But I will tell you this. If Usain Bolt, the fastest man God ever created, walked downtown Philadelphia, he would be mobbed.
Right.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Right.
And he's only been to Philly for the Penn Relays.
All right, bro. So we're gonna move on. We're gonna get into the next article. Definitely an interesting story. Want to see what you brothers have to say about it. A local guy, Blair Cobbs. Listen, I want to kind of talk about this. This story stretches a long time. This young man, I don't want to just kind of say he had a troubled childhood, but let's just say he had a tumultuous upbringing in terms of he'd been through a lot, right? His father was arrested by the DEA. He subsequently had to go on the run for a while. Let's just say that in the course of, overcoming any type of, trauma that any of our young people might experience, if you're separated from your parents, or if you have to relocate and your situation changes like that. On the run, not on the run, on the run when